Welcome to my channel Sci-Fi Love Story. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe. The object entered the solar system without fire, without sound, and without permission. It did not fall like a meteor. It did not burn like debris. It did not slow down. It simply appeared. One moment space was empty. The next, something dark and massive drifted between Mars and Jupiter, silent as a thought no one wanted to think. Earth's deep space radar saw it first. Then every satellite saw it. Then every government saw it. No engine flare. No heat trail. No radio signal. Just a shape. Long, jagged, broken. And ancient. Within minutes, the news reached the United Earth Orbital Command. General Adrian Cole stood in the command room, arms crossed, staring at the projection floating above the table. She had commanded fleets, stopped pirate wars, and once negotiated peace with a species that communicated through color changes. Nothing in her career prepared her for this. The object looked like a dead city. Metal towers snapped in half, huge rings torn open, hull plates peeled back like fruit skin. It was at least 30 kilometers long. Velocity, she asked. 0 relative to the system, an officer said. It matched our orbit when it appeared. Appeared from where? The officer swallowed. We don't know. Silence filled the room. A scientist finally spoke. There was no approach vector, no warp signature, no wormhole trace. It was simply there. General Cole kept her voice steady. Life signs. None. Power readings. None. Radiation. Old, faded like a grave. No one liked that word. Cole looked around the room. Options. No one answered right away. Finally, Dr. Elias Morty cleared his throat. He was not military. His hair was always messy, and he treated alien ruins like puzzles waiting to be solved. We send a crew, he said. Cole looked at him. We don't know what that thing is. That's exactly why we go, Morty replied. It's dead, cold. If it were hostile, we would already know. One officer muttered, or we're already dead and don't know it yet. No one laughed. Cole made her decision. Prepare a survey mission. Small crew, best engineers, best Xeno team. I want answers. 6 hours later, the exploration ship UNS Pathfinder drifted toward the silent giant. Captain Leela Akoy watched it grow across the main window. She had seen alien stations before. She had seen battle wreckage, broken moons, shattered fleets. This was different. This thing is older than our civilization, she said quietly. How can you tell? Asked her pilot. Because space already tried to erase it and failed. Scars covered the structure, meteor impacts, radiation burns, deep fractures that should have ripped it apart long ago, yet it held together, frozen in death. Dr. Morty floated beside her in zero gravity, eyes wide. Do you see the patterning? That architecture isn't random damage. That's design under the damage. You're excited, she said. I am terrified, he replied, but yes. The Pathfinder locked onto a fractured docking ring. Magnetic clamps connected with a deep metallic thud that echoed through the hull. Boarding team ready, Akoy said. Stay sharp. Unknown atmosphere, unknown materials, unknown history. Her team entered the airlock. 5 humans. 1 broken alien megastructure. No backup nearby. The outer hatch opened. Darkness waited on the other side. Helmet lights clicked on, thin beams cutting through floating dust and frozen gas crystals. The air inside the structure was gone, vented into space centuries ago. Boots touched alien metal. Surface stable, one engineer said. Gravity weak but present, artificial. Residual field, Morty said. Dying but not dead. Their lights moved across walls covered in strange lines and smooth curves. Nothing looked sharp. Nothing looked comfortable. It felt like walking inside the bones of something too large to imagine alive. "Any symbols?" Akoy asked. "Yeah," a linguist replied, "but I don't recognize the script, not in any database." They moved deeper. Every door they passed stood open, bent, or melted. Something terrible had happened here. "What could kill something this size?" the pilot whispered. No one answered. They entered a massive chamber. Their lights vanished into the distance without touching the far wall. "City scale," Morty breathed. This was interior. Broken platforms floated in midair. Long-dead machines hung frozen where they had failed. A ring structure circled the chamber's center, split in several places. Then their scanners beeped. "Power source detected," an engineer said. Akoy turned, active. No, but not empty either, like a battery that never fully drained. Direction. Below us. They found a shaft leading downward. Emergency ladders still clung to the wall. The team descended slowly, metal creaking under their weight. The deeper they went, the less damaged the structure became. Scorch marks faded. Walls looked smoother. Doors looked intact. "Something protected the lower levels," Morty said, "or the damage started above." At the bottom, they reached a sealed door. Unlike every other entrance, this one was closed. "Energy readings spike here," the engineer said. "Whatever power remains is behind this." Akoy nodded. "Can we open it?" "Manual interface, looks mechanical." Morty laughed softly. "An advanced alien species using a physical override. I like them already." It took 10 minutes to force the mechanism. Metal groaned, then the door slowly slid aside. Lights flickered on inside the chamber. Not bright, not strong, but alive. The room was circular. In the center stood a single chair surrounded by curved consoles. Transparent panels floated in the air, filled with frozen symbols. Dust covered everything, except the chair. "Why is that clean?" the pilot asked. No one had an answer. Akoy stepped forward carefully, scanned for traps. "Nothing," the engineer said. "Just power focused on that seat." Morty approached the main console. "This is a control center, maybe the last one." He touched a panel. The room hummed. Air vibrated. Symbols shifted across every screen. The linguist said, "I think you turned it on." A beam of pale light rose from the chair. It formed a shape. A figure. Tall, thin, 4 arms, long neck, smooth face with deep-set eyes. A hologram. The alien looked around slowly, as if waking from a long sleep. Then it focused on the humans, and spoke perfect English. Finally, it said, "You made it." No one moved. Akoy's voice stayed calm. "Identify yourself." "I am Archive Node 7, the being said. "Civilization Cathari Union, status, extinct." The word hit like a punch. Morty floated closer. "You were waiting for us." "Yes." "How did you know humans would come?" "We did not," the hologram said. "We waited for someone." Akoy asked, "What happened to your people?" The hologram paused. "We were not destroyed by war, not by plague, not by hunger." The chamber lights dimmed. "We were erased by silence." The screens around the room lit up with stars. Thousands of them blinked out one by one. Our exploration reached too far. We touched something sleeping between galaxies. It did not attack. It did not speak. It simply removed us. "Removed," Morty whispered. Every colony, every fleet, every world vanished, not destroyed, not broken, gone from history as if we had never existed. The humans stood frozen. "We built this archive before the end," the hologram continued. "A record, a warning, a hope." "Hope for what?" Akoy asked. "For a species that survives where we failed." Silence filled the chamber. The hologram stepped closer to them. You are not advanced, your technology is crude, your ships are slow, your weapons are simple. The pilot frowned. Wow, thanks. But the alien said, you are persistent. You expand into hostile space. You fight your own nature and still move forward. We studied you from afar before our fall. Akoi's heart pounded. You were watching Earth. Yes, you are different. Morty asked softly, different how? You do not stop when afraid. The hologram gestured, and a new star map appeared. A region far beyond human space pulsed in red. It is there, the alien said. The silence, the force that ended us, it grows slowly. It does not notice small civilizations. Yet, Akoi said. Yet, the alien agreed. The room trembled slightly. Power levels dropped. This archive cannot last much longer, the hologram said. We saved our knowledge, our science, our history. Data streams appeared in the air. We offer it to you. The crew stared in shock. You're giving us everything, Morty asked. Yes. Why? The alien looked at them with something like sadness. Because you are the only ones left who might run toward the dark instead of away from it. The lights flickered harder. Transfer starting, the engineer said, hands shaking. Akoi looked at the hologram. What happens when the silence reaches us? The alien's form began to break apart. We do not know, it said. We never learned how to fight it. Its eyes locked on hers. But we think you will try. The hologram smiled. Then it vanished. The chamber went dark. Only the soft glow of human suit lights remained. Data transfer completed. Humanity now carried the knowledge of a dead galactic empire. Captain Akoi looked at her crew. Let's go home, she said. No one spoke during the return trip. Behind them, the ancient structure finally lost its last bit of power. And for the first time in millions of years, it was truly dead. But its final message was alive. And it had chosen humanity. The return trip to Earth was very quiet. The crew of the UNS Pathfinder had faced pirates, hostile aliens, and deadly space storms before. Those dangers were loud. Explosions, alarms, weapons fire. This was worse. This was silent. Captain Leela Akoi sat in the command chair, staring at the stars. Somewhere out there, beyond known space, something existed that did not conquer, did not invade, did not speak. It erased. And an extinct civilization had believed humans were the ones who might stop it. She still was not sure if that was a compliment or a warning. Behind her, Dr. Elia's Morty floated near the data core, watching the transfer progress. Streams of alien knowledge filled secure Earth databases through quantum link. Engineering files are unbelievable, he muttered. Energy systems, materials science, star mapping, they were thousands of years ahead of us. Can we understand it? Akoi asked. Some of it, he said. The rest will take decades. Do we have decades? Morty did not answer. When the Pathfinder reached Earth orbit, they did not dock at a normal station. They were directed to Atlas Station, a military research platform that officially did not exist. General Adrian Cole met them personally in a sealed briefing chamber. The room lights dimmed as the alien star map appeared above the table. A red region pulsed slowly in deep space. The Kethari called it the Silence, Morty explained. We don't know if it's a species, a force of nature, or something else. We only know the result. Stars winked out on the display. Colony markers vanished. Fleet icons disappeared. General Cole's jaw tightened. How long before it reaches known space? We can't measure its speed exactly, Morty said. But based on Kethari records, maybe 300 years. A long silence followed. One officer finally said, "That's not our problem then." Akoi turned sharply. It becomes our problem the moment it notices us. Cole nodded slowly, agreed. She looked around the room. So here's the real question. Do we prepare quietly or do we tell the world? No one rushed to answer. Humanity had only recently united after decades of conflict. Fear like this could shatter that peace. But secrets this large never stayed hidden. Akoi spoke first. If we hide it and get caught later, trust collapses. Morty nodded, and we'll need every scientist on Earth working on this. Cole exhaled, then we tell them. The announcement changed human history in 1 hour. Every screen on Earth, Luna, and Mars showed the same message. We are not alone. We are not the first. Something is coming. Panic came first. Markets crashed, cities filled with protests. Some people claimed it was fake, others said it was punishment. Some simply stared at the sky that night, wondering which star would disappear first. Then something unexpected happened. Volunteers flooded government networks. Scientists offered research. Engineers proposed new propulsion systems. Retired soldiers asked to train recruits. One message went viral across Earth. If the universe thinks we scare easy, it picked the wrong species. General Cole read that line 3 times. Then she approved the creation of the largest project in human history. Project Dawnshield. Its goal was simple to say. Hard to do. Prepare humanity to face the silence. Years passed. Shipyards expanded around Earth like metal forests. New fleets were designed using Cathari knowledge mixed with human creativity. The aliens had built elegant, perfect systems. Humans modified them until they looked slightly insane, but worked better. Cathari reactors were smooth spheres of balanced energy. Human engineers added manual overrides, backup injectors, and systems that technically should not function but somehow did. A Cathari material could survive a star's heat. Humans asked, can we make it flexible too? A Cathari AI ran fleets with calm logic. Humans added personality modules, just in case yelling at it helps. Dr. Morty once said, we are either geniuses or idiots. An engineer replied, yes. 20 years after first contact with the dead megastructure, humanity launched its first deep-range probe toward the red zone. It was small, fast, packed with sensors. Its name was Hope. The world watched as it entered unexplored space. For 5 years, Hope sent back data, strange radiation patterns, regions of space where background signals felt thinner. Then one day, the signal stopped. No explosion. No distress call. Just silence. People waited for hours. Then days. Hope never came back online. Humanity had just confirmed the threat was real. And closer than anyone liked. Project Dawnshield changed from preparation to urgency. New warships rolled out faster, training programs doubled, colonies hardened defenses. But not everyone believed in fighting. A group called the Quiet Path grew popular. They believed humanity should hide, shut down signals, reduce expansion, stay small and unnoticed. They erase advanced civilizations, their leader said during a global debate. We survive by staying unimportant. Captain Akoi, now an admiral, answered calmly. We tried being small once, she said. We were small when plagues hit, small during world wars, small when asteroids nearly wiped us out. She leaned forward. We survived because we did not stay small. The debate split humanity. Hide or stand. In the end, humanity chose something very human. They did both. Civilian expansion slowed, military readiness increased, research exploded. If the silence noticed loud civilizations, humanity would be quiet, but ready. 50 years after the discovery, the first Dawn Shield fleet gathered beyond Pluto. Hundreds of ships formed a defensive line facing deep space. At the center floated humanity's largest vessel ever built. UNS Resolve. It was not graceful like Cathari designs. It was layered, armored, covered in visible weapons and reinforced structures. It looked like something built by a species that expected things to go wrong. Admiral Akoi stood on the bridge, older now, streaks of gray in her hair. "Long-range scans?" she asked. Background noise dropping in Sector 12, an officer said. The room went still. On the display, a region of stars flickered. One went dark. No flash. No debris. Just gone. "It's here," someone whispered. Akoi nodded slowly. All ships hold position. No dramatic music played. No enemy fleet appeared. Just a growing patch of emptiness moving slowly across space. Then sensors screamed. Gravitational constants fluctuating. Quantum noise spiking. Space-time shear detected. The dark region touched the outer edge of the system. A small automated defense platform stationed there vanished from sensors. Not destroyed. Erased. Akoi gripped her chair. "Record everything," she said quietly. Humanity watched the silence for the first time. And the silence did not react. It moved like a tide, steady and uncaring. Then something changed. Energy spike, an officer shouted. At the front of the distortion field. A ripple moved through space like a wave through water. For the first time, the silence had noticed resistance. Human sensor beacons and probes were creating interference. Tiny, weak, but present. "It's adjusting course," the science officer said, toward the fleet. Akoi took a slow breath. "All ships," she said, voice steady across the fleet channel. "This is Admiral Akoi." Hundreds of crews listened. "We always knew this day might come. We hoped it would be far away." She watched another star flicker. "It is." Silence filled the comms. "We are not the strongest species to ever live," she continued. "We are not the oldest. We are not the most advanced." She allowed herself a small smile. "But we are the ones still here." Bridges across the fleet echoed with quiet laughter. "We hold the line," she said, "not because we know we can win." Her voice hardened. "But because running has never been our style." Weapons powered up across the fleet. Experimental fields activated. Human ships, built from alien science and stubborn imagination, faced the dark. The silence touched the first defense drone. This time, it did not vanish instantly. The drone's new Cathari-human hybrid shield flared bright blue. It lasted 3 seconds before collapsing. Cheers erupted across human comm channels. 3 seconds. Proof it could be slowed. Akoi felt hope rise like fire in her chest. "Dawn Shield fleet," she said, "engage." Beams of energy, gravitational distorters, and experimental weapons fired into the advancing distortion. Space lit up. For the first time in history, the silence met something that pushed back. And humanity, the young species that refused to stay small, ran toward the dark. Space did not explode when the battle began. It bent. Light stretched into long lines. Stars smeared across sensors. The front edge of the silence pressed against the human defensive line like a slow, unstoppable storm made of nothing. Admiral Akoi stood on the bridge of the UNS Resolve, hands behind her back, watching the impossible happen in real time. Forward shield drones collapsing, an officer reported. "Replace them," Akoi said. "They won't last long." "They don't have to. They just have to last longer than the last ones." Across millions of kilometers, human ships fired everything they had. Energy lances carved glowing scars into distorted space. Gravity wells twisted and snapped like rubber bands. Experimental weapons based on Cathari science created flashes of structured light that held back the darkness for seconds at a time. Seconds mattered. Every second gave scientists more data. Every second proved the silence could be resisted. But it kept coming. Where the distortion touched matter, reality thinned. Ships caught at the very edge did not explode. They did not break apart. They faded. Crew and metal and history gone. Pull back line 3, a commander shouted over comms. Akoi watched icons blink out on her display. She forced herself to breathe slowly. Fear was natural. Panic was death. Deploy resonance array, she ordered. The largest human-built structure in the fleet activated. Hundreds of ships formed a precise formation around the resolve. Energy beams linked them together, creating a vast lattice of vibrating fields. The idea had come from a human musician working with alien math. Everything in the universe has a frequency, the musician had said, even nothing. The resonance array pulsed. The silence slowed. Not stopped, but slowed. Cheers filled human channels again. Frequency holding for 12 seconds. Then 10. Then 6. Then it broke. The silence surged forward, erasing 3 defense cruisers instantly. Akoi closed her eyes for one brief moment. Status of Project Lantern, she asked. A young officer swallowed. Ground teams report final stage almost ready. They just need more time. How much more? Minutes. Akoi looked at the advancing dark. We'll buy it. Far below, on Earth's moon, inside a facility carved deep into rock, thousands of scientists worked in controlled chaos. Project Lantern was humanity's final idea. Not a weapon. Not exactly. The Cathari had tried to fight the silence with power and precision. Perfect machines, perfect shields. Humans had studied the data and reached a strange conclusion. The silence did not attack life. It erased patterns. Civilizations with clean, ordered energy structures vanished first. Systems that ran smoothly, predictably, beautifully, were easiest to remove. Human technology, on the other hand, was messy, layered, full of backups, workarounds, and strange improvisations. A Cathari engineer once described human systems as organized confusion. That confusion might be the key. Project Lantern was designed to broadcast the most chaotic, unpredictable signal ever created. A storm of overlapping quantum noise, emotional brainwave patterns, random art, music, arguments, dreams, the raw data of human existence. Not a shield. A spotlight. If the silence erased clean patterns, humanity would blind it with beautiful noise. Signal core at 90%, a technician shouted. Neural pattern banks online. Global cultural archives synced. The project leader took a deep breath. Begin transmission. In deep space, Admiral Akoi's display lit up with a new signal bursting outward from the solar system. It was not a beam. It was not focused. It spread in all directions like static from a cosmic radio. What is that? An officer asked. Akoi smiled faintly. That's Earth being Earth. The lantern signal hit the silence. Nothing happened. Then sensors spiked wildly. The smooth edge of the distortion began to ripple. Fluctuate. Distortion losing coherence, the science officer shouted. It's stuttering. Patches of erased space flickered, like a broken screen trying to display too many images at once. Human ships pushed forward, reinforcing the signal with their own transmitters. Music files, wildlife recordings, human heartbeats, laughing, crying, stories, billions of voices turned into quantum noise. The silence reacted for the first time. It did not attack harder. It recoiled. The distortion front pulled back slightly, as if confused. Akoi felt her hands tremble. "Maintain broadcast," she ordered. On the moon, reactors strained as Lantern pushed beyond safe limits. On Earth, people watched the sky, knowing their planet itself was part of the defense. The silence pulsed. It tried to smooth the chaos, to erase it. But there was too much. Humanity was not a clean signal. It was a storm. Then the silence changed tactics. Instead of one wide front, tendrils of distortion shot forward like searching fingers, aiming for individual ships to isolate and erase them. Adaptive behavior detected, a scientist warned. Akoi nodded. Of course it learns. She opened a fleet-wide channel. All ships switched to pattern breaker formations. Stay unpredictable. Manual piloting authorized. Autopilots shut off across the fleet. Human pilots took direct control. They weaved, rolled, accelerated in strange bursts. No perfect formations, no clean lines. Messy. Alive. Tendrils of the silence lunged and missed as ships moved with human instinct instead of machine logic. One pilot yelled, "Try predicting this." A tendril grazed a destroyer. Half the ship flickered out of existence, but emergency bulkheads sealed and the other half kept firing. Any other species would have considered the vessel lost. Humans called it still usable. The Lantern signal intensified. The silence pulled back farther now, its edge breaking apart like fog in strong wind. Energy spike inside the distortion, the science officer shouted. "We're forcing a reaction." Akoi stared at the readings. "Or we're hurting it," she said. For the first time, humanity was not just resisting. It was pushing the silence away. Hours passed. Then slowly, the distortion began to retreat. Not quickly, but steadily. Stars that had vanished flickered faintly back into existence, damaged but real. Cheers, sobs, and stunned laughter filled human channels. On the moon, Lantern's core finally burned out in a controlled shutdown. Half the facility lost power, but the signal had already spread beyond the system, echoing outward like a warning flare. The silence continued withdrawing, deeper into space. Not destroyed, but no longer advancing. Admiral Akoi sat down for the first time in 12 hours. "Pursuit?" an officer asked quietly. She shook her head. "No, we proved something today." She looked at the star map, at the scarred but surviving system. "It can be stopped." Months later, a message left the solar system in every direction. Not a threat. Not a boast. A statement. "We are humanity. You tried to erase us. You failed." Attached to the message was the Lantern signal: art, noise, life, chaos. Proof that the young species the Cathari had believed in was still here. Still loud. Still stubborn. Still running toward the dark. And far away beyond damaged stars, the silence did not return. Because for the first time since it began its endless erasing, it had found something it did not understand. Something too chaotic. Too emotional. Too human. And for the first time, the silence hesitated. End of story.